expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix. Brother Mike back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Welcome to the program. Today's Bible study, Classroom Kiddie Porn, coming to a school near you. This you're not going to believe. You're going to swear I'm making it up. Hey, would you call somebody and tell them the radio program's on? I'll make a couple quick announcements while you make that call. Say, this is Brother Mike. I'm the counselor from the House of Healing, 34 plus years. We're on 11th Street, just south of Indian School Road, and west of the 51 freeway, right in the heart of Maricopa County, Arizona. On the website, HardcoreChristianity.com, you'll see a list of our services, Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays. Wednesdays are Ladies' Night, healing, deliverance, and teaching. Thursday night is our individual and personal prayer night. Everyone who comes receives personal and individual prayer. Friday night's my teaching for my radio listeners. 6:30 p.m. Come a little early, you get a good seat. On the website, you can also join us on Facebook. You can join our YouTube teaching channel. You can sign up for a free seminar. The next one is July 17th. I would recommend you put your name in on that one off the website. We usually run out of seats for that monthly seminar. May God bless you. By the way, when you hit the website, please send us a donation, the PayPal button. We get a lot of donations that are small, 20, 25, 35, 45, 50 bucks. That works out great for us. I don't take a salary, so all the money goes to paying for the radio program and our other expenses for providing healing and deliverance and our counseling sessions at the House of Healing. May God bless you. Thank you for your help. Kiddie porn headed toward your school. This you're not going to believe. Did you see this article in the paper? Quote, a Minnesota sex education teacher has drawn scrutiny from parents after taking middle and high school students on a field trip to an adult novelty store. Gaia Democratic School director Starry Hedges took about a dozen students to Smitten Kitten last week. Hedges told the Star Tribune she wanted to provide a safe environment for kids to learn about human sexual behavior. Besides the books and videos and toys, the store also has educational workshops which students attend. What I saw happening on our trip, I thought it was beautiful because the kids could talk to these sex educators without any shame and without any fear. Some of her students brought condoms. They bought condoms there, kindergartners. The small K-12 school's motto promises academic freedom, youth empowerment, and democratic education. Parents say it has about 25 students. Tax records show that the school, which is housed in a Unitarian church, has an annual budget of about $100,000. Lynn Floyd, a parent of the 11 and 13-year-old daughters on the field trip, said it was a major breach of trust and she withdrew her students from the school. The teacher there, quote, admits that she, quote, unfortunately didn't communicate well enough with the parents ahead of time about the trip. Really? Pornographic items were off limits to the children, but sex toys and other products were still available. I guess the next thing Walmart and Target are going to read these articles and go, hey, this is a great new area we can make some money in. That would be my next guess. Quote, Smitten Kitten owner Jennifer Pritchett said the store is an educational resource about sex and sexuality. We leave it up to the discretion of the parents and guardians as to when, if, and in what capacity they seek resources from our educators. The Minnesota Department of Education spokesman Josh Collins said the state has no authority over the school because it's private. He said, quote, I don't think anybody would think that going to the Smitten Kitten was a great idea. It's not clear whether the field trip broke any laws, but there is a city ordinance that says those younger than 18 should not be exposed to sexually provocative, written, pornographic, printed, sound, or published material deemed harmful to minors, quote unquote. That's the city ordinance. Oh, this probably wouldn't fall in there. They're not going to do anything about it, would be my guess. Minnesota City Attorney Susan Siegel said inspectors visited the store Tuesday and are contemplating issuing a violation notice for failing to comply with the city ordinance and for not complying with a zoning ordinance. Alrighty then. The teacher of the school said, quote, "It was certainly the first time we have taken that kind of field trip, and it will probably be our last," which I feel bad about because the kids were having so much fun, quote unquote. This article I read had a blogger attached to it. There were several blogs. People were commenting on the article. This one lady, Cynthia from Hopkins, Minnesota, commented on it. She said, quote, "I absolutely love this store. It's not like other sex shops where it makes you feel like a pervert. I love this store. It's a very calm and quiet environment. They have everything, toys, books, games, oils, well, everything. The employees are so nice. Cool, hip, and funky. Very informed and caring. I love them. I always buy something if I stop by, even if it's batteries. LOL. I always suggest this store to people who are scared to go into a sex store thinking people would judge them or think they're weird or have people in there you don't want to run into, quote unquote." Wow. What in the world is going on? Let me explain it to you. You already know it though. The entire country is being soaked in sin, and our national conscience is sinking and it is becoming seared, to use the Apostle Paul's term. That's the Greek word kateriazo, to have a seared conscience, a conscience that is seared. Kateriazo is where we get our English word, to cauterize. Once your conscience is cauterized, it no longer screens out sinful, evil, or wicked practices. You can no longer tell the difference between right and wrong. When your conscience becomes seared, you're in deep trouble. And as you can see, we're all headed toward the rapture and the tribulation and the second coming of Christ. It feels so close, it's absolutely amazing. We've never seen so many signs of the times as we're seeing now, particularly in the Middle East. But just before the end, society develops a seared conscience. It happened in the days of Noah, and Jesus said, as in the days of Noah, that's the days it's going to be before the coming of the Son of Man. People developed a seared consciences, and everything they did was a sin. It's all sinful. And Paul describes what those people were like in Romans chapter 1. He says, quote, verse 29, "Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, and whisperers." He's describing the conscience, the inner man, the soul of a human being. And this story about these kids going to a porno bookstore to look at the props is a typical example of the Greek word porneia, which means fornication in this verse in Romans. It's also an example of the Greek word poneria, which means perversion, which is the Greek word for this English word wickedness in the book of Romans chapter 1. Porneia is fornication. Poneria is perversion. And it also mentions this word malignity. That's the Greek word KXXT-AM, which means people who have rotten or bad characters. You've got to have a rotten or bad character to take a third grader or a second grader to a porno bookstore. You've got to have a seared conscience. You can't do those things if you don't have one, because your conscience wouldn't allow you to do it. That's why serial killers and murderers and rapists keep on killing and raping. Why do they do it? Because their conscience is not the stopgap to their behavior anymore. It's been cauterized or seared. Paul in Romans chapter 1 goes on to describe our society here in America, and it couldn't be more on point. Backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. These Greek words and these English words are perfect descriptions of our current world and our current society here in America. And these were how the people were in the land of Noah before the flood. These were the kind of characteristics or character displayed by the people that had to be eliminated by God during the flood. Why did God send a flood? Because humanity had become hopeless. And for a practical matter, Noah and his family would have eventually died and been consumed, and the entire planet would have been unsalvageable. So God, as a last-ditch effort, knew he had to fix this thing. He saw it coming, and the only way to preserve humanity was to save Noah and his family before they died or were consumed by the corruption of their age. But you can see these characteristics here without understanding. That school teacher that takes first graders to a porno bookstore doesn't have any legitimate understanding of the spiritual ramifications or the lust demons that hang around porno bookstores. Lust spirits congregate in areas where there is excessive sexual sin. Lust demons are the monsters behind this human sensuality and sexuality of the United States of America. If you go into a porno bookstore, you're walking into their home, their neighborhood. You're asking for trouble. These children could have gotten infected, and probably did, with lust demons when they went into the store. The teacher will have that on her soul and on her account on Judgment Day, and will have to answer for it. But she's without understanding and doesn't get it. Inventors of evil things, that's all they were looking at in there. If you have a chronic lust problem and you need help, and your mind goes that way, your soul goes that way, your body automatically goes toward sensuality, sexuality, lust, adultery, and fornication, you are eligible for free counseling services if you are a born-again Christian at the House of Healing, 602-636-5800. You can be healed and delivered from spirits of lust. They do not have to dominate your life. If you're a sex addict, free counseling. You need to do it now. You need to be healed now.
The views expressed on the preceding program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program has been sponsored by Michael W. Smith.